Hey guys, how you doing? I'm driving home and I was gonna dive into one of the questions that I got asking what my future Earth self, what was her relationship with Kryon? Why did she not say his name? Why, when I brought him into the picture, was it then that I saw her turn to dust? What does all of that mean? So I wanted to look at that, and I'm gonna relax here. We're driving, so I'm gonna keep my eyes open. Kind of helps me with car sickness. So doing journeys and with my eyes closed, and I don't know where the bumps are, when we're gonna start or stop or speed up or slow down. It makes me dizzy. So let me just relax here and see. I'm gonna go to her first. I will say it's kind of jarring because I've already moved on from this, but going back, I know it's a weird time. Like, I'm going back in time to talk to my future self before she actually died. Then I have the future self that's in purgatory. I guarantee I have a future self that's not anymore. Like, it's just it's a lot. I mean, literally, you take a thick book, a lot of pages, and you just go with your finger like da-da-da-da-da through all those pages. That's yourself and all the layers of time. I mean, that could just be the present day time. That could be 10 minutes from now time. That's all the layers of yourself and all versions of Earth time. Like, it just gives you more of a perspective on how you exist, all right? How Earth exists. How even all your inner collective selves and all their weird personalities and how you filter through all of this existence. Earth as this epicenter of so many versions of time, and we're trying to reach this quantum leap to Earth where there's just simply a oneness and a harmony. Do we need all these versions of time? All right, so I'm gonna go to her and I'm gonna see. She didn't want to. I'm already there and shaking my head because she didn't want to talk about it. I already know I can't get an answer from her, so let me try the purgatory self, who's by a pond, and in her face is a mirror into Earth, the worst possible scenario. We're still echoing that in the present day. We're still echoing the beginnings of that in the present day. Yeah, she's able to talk to me about it. She says, okay, it's not what we think. It's more like when you have a really good friend, and in a way that friend has been there for you through thick or thin, and let's say you wanted to give that friend a gift of something good that you had accomplished or achieved. Like, it's really hard. Okay, this is literally how she's putting it. Kryon watches over her, and it bothers her that Kryon has to continue to watch over her suffering, and she would prefer that he not see her at all. And then if he does not see her at all, then she doesn't have to bear a burden of having him watch her suffer. And she would prefer to not say that name because she doesn't want to bring him in to see where she is at. She would rather just not speak of him again because it pains her, the pain that he endures to watch humanity, to watch what she's going through. She doesn't want that for him. That's what she says. So my relationship with Kryon isn't at that point, okay, that hers became. So it was easy for me to call Kryon in to help her, where she had pushed Kryon out and didn't want any of his help, not because she wouldn't want that, but because she was tired of him helping her and seeing her suffering. She didn't want his help anymore for a long time. She just chose to not say that name anymore. That's literally the answer to that question. So let me go to Kryon and see what he has to say about that. He's like saying a million things at once. This is really exhausting and draining because he's talking to me in like lots of versions of time, lots of echoes of time. Let me just relax and continue to transmute. I mean, I just feel it in my body, and it's overwhelming me. It's overwhelming me. It's hard to sit in like all these pages of a book that's moving through you. It makes you feel like not feel good. And it's not the car sickness. It's this conversation. Okay, so Kryon, how am I supposed to translate this? I keep thinking of spider webs. Might be a way to translate this, and I don't know what that means exactly. I'm going to bring him down to my level. I'm going to slow him down, and I'm just going to take one point at a time. Maybe like spider webs are connecting the dots, and too many dots are connected, and I can't translate it. Too much information. I need just a basic starting point with this. First he says, it's kind of like, don't shut your friends out. It's Kryon that is the one that has to work through what he sees, what he feels about that aspect of myself who shut the door. She didn't want to burden him. It was his burden to carry. If he couldn't carry it, then he could have made that decision. But for her to make that decision was actually, in a way, cruel to that friendship. And he's sad because it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand what all of this means, what it's all about, what's happening. It's hard to understand time and the relationships we build over time and how those overlap with one another. It's hard to understand how the changes take place. Ask him about Shanghai, because I'm really sad for those people. I'm really sad for what's happening there right now. And I want to do some healing for Shanghai, and I'm wanting to shift gears. Like, we can filter through this sand to pick out the pebbles of this color or that color of information, but perhaps it's time to do a different approach. Wants me to kind of relax and ask the collective what question they have here, because he says that we're not there with Shanghai yet, about this conversation isn't there yet. I say, let's use that as a tool to help me understand what the conversation is that you're trying to lean into. Show me something, Kryon. He shows me metal balls. They're on strings. They represent time. This is a big bump. All right. And they're just kind of clickety-clacking back and forth right now. And you can hear time. And what happens when time stops and the balls are not making any sound? He shows me in one version that when the balls stop making the sound, then there's nothing to track the time, and now there is no time, therefore something is being erased. But when the balls are in motion, now something is in creation, something is active, something is taking place in relationship with time. Now the balls have stopped and nothing is in motion, nothing is happening, things have stopped. It's all stopped. He says, what is the point though of starting the movement of those balls again? He says it would be better to just remove them entirely, and then what do we have? I say we have silence. So if time makes a sound, and now when time makes no sound at all and there's silence, then does time just stop existing? Is time alive like a person that is alive? And when that person dies and the sound of time stops, what happens? He says this is really important because we're talking about opening up the fabric of he's showing me the universe. The universe is active and it's making sound. When you can pinpoint a point in the universe and stop all sound associated with that point, including the sound of time, you can open up the universe to go anywhere you want in existence. He's showing me something of he's a time traveler, or he's I'm telling you, time traveler. This isn't, he is not vibrationally, I don't experience him like some human being from Earth somewhere in time. He's a time traveler to another part of Earth. He's just some guy on this planet or some other dimension on this planet that I just happen to be talking to. He feels more cosmic to me, Kryon does, vibrationally more cosmic. I do really like that he's very easy to talk to. Like he associates with our emotions and our mentality, like really easily, very easy to talk to. Because he shows me himself, he shows me in the universe, he shows me he silences the sound of all things, and just this pinpoint, he walks through a doorway. Now he's watching Earth. And I say, okay, show me the next thing, Kryon. I don't know what the question is to ask you right now, because I have a million questions. What's the next thing you want to say? He's kind of referencing my future Earth self and that really painful pathway that the human race chooses to go in the worst case scenario, and it is horrifying. When I watched some of the videos on Shanghai, it's kind of like what I saw in her face, in the mirror of her face. I saw this stuff happening. This is the beginning of the worst case scenario, you guys. Like, I'm really believing here that there is a quantum leap to be had. I'm trying to figure out how to access it. But you can't really access it by thinking about it. You can only access it by it just simply an event happening. What do you want to say about the worst case scenario path? He wants me to silence the sound of that memory in my soul completely. Like it is in itself a wormhole, an active wormhole, and I need to silence it and close the wormhole and choose to disconnect my relationship with that version of Earth, because he's going to help me be a time traveler. He says that the association with that path, it keeps me the echoes going, and whether I can consciously understand or interpret it, I'm still a part of the epicenter of those sounds. So to silence those sounds is going to give me the ability to quantum leap, basically. And he says that he wants that for me. He's specifically talking to me because I say, well, you want that for everybody, but he just looks at me right now, and he's really wanting to talk about this as what I've been going through and what that meant to him, and we're all learning from this conversation. I guarantee Kryon's there to help you, anybody. He's that kind of amazing being. He's an amazing cosmic being. Alright, so I'm silencing the sound. This might be why I just feel this need to not go back in time, even though that we would define the future as forward in time, to me at this point, I relate to it as going back in time, backward, like into the past. So I don't want to associate with her because I feel like I've moved on now. So I'm going to say I have moved on, and I'm silencing the sound. How do I do that? Basically, I feel the memory, how that memory impacted me. You can do this with anything in your life. Like, if there's a memory in your life that is from this present day, or maybe it's a dream, maybe it's a real event, maybe it's fantasy that you're attached to, maybe whatever, I don't know. But you silence your memory. Like, you feel everything that you know about that memory and how that memory impacts you, and then you just put it to sleep. I'm just laying this to rest. There's a lot of layers of this. There's a lot of sounds. I'm also going to have to put to rest what Shanghai means to me. That was another weird thought I had, that I may have to let those souls go through that learning and that experience. And that doesn't sit right with me if I could do something to help them. And at this time, for some reason, silencing that future is silencing my relationship with anything and everything that causes me to have a reflective recall of it, okay? My future self that I'm laying to rest now feels like this is, all behind me is in the past. It's getting quieter and quieter. I have to go to the purgatory part of me, and I'm going to show her what I'm doing. And I give her a hug, and I tell her that I'm okay with her taking whatever time that she needs. Vibrationally, it's hard to make sense of it when she is so conscientiously aware, and she can't do anything to change her circumstance. And I can't really judge her for anything. So I show her that I'm seeing her experiencing peace in her place by the pond in the water. And I'm proud of her for everything that she endured and what she represents. But I'm going to move on now. And everything is calming down. Everything is calming down. Everything is calming down. Everything is calming down. Relaxing. Literally it is. I'm almost there with it. It's interesting to feel this, because we think of external things, like imagine creating being a time traveler in the universe, legit, like you're literally experiencing an external world that looks like this, now it looks like this, and we're in this date and time in this area of the universe. Like, how interesting would that be? That what if the time traveling is taking place inside yourself? Can you be a time traveler from your inner universe? Yes, that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, say I feel like I'm there with it, Kryon. Anything else you want to say about that? That's all I can say for right now. I'm going to come back to this, though. Love you guys.